I woke up very unhappy, very scared, just very scary, scared, really scared. Was I really scared? Yes. I had like weird feelings in the pit of my stomach before it even started. I'm scared.
Jump man, them boys up to something. Them boys is us, right? We're up to something.
This is what Ryan Coogler dreamed of, his three white dudes opening with the
Them
Drake
boys-
lyric.
Them boys up
Them
to
boys
something.
is up to something.
Them boys is us, right?
Jump man, shout out to Michael B. Jordan. That's right. You want to know what we're up to? It's the 19th ever episode of 2 Men and a Baby, the horror movie review show where three best friends discuss a new horror movie each episode. As usual, guys, I'm joined to my right by the probably more musically excited than usual musician, Brendan Fletcher. And then to my left, stand-up comedian and titular baby of the show, Abby Krinsky, you know, who's here to let the fellow normies know exactly how scary these movies are.
I don't get the Jumpman reference.
Michael
The
Jordan.
song, Jump Man, Jump Man, Jump Man.
Okay. All right.
6 degrees of separation.
This week we're covering the very sizzling Ryan Coogler film, 2025, Sinners, which he wrote and directed, and is starring not one, but two Michael B. Jordans. I think we should jump man right into it. Brendan, you want to hit that theme song?
2 men and a baby, oh yeah. 2 men and a motherfucking baby.
Well, you know, before we get into our segments and all of that, we got to talk about film watching experiences. They're talking about this as being like the cinematic viewing film, like the blockbuster to see in theaters. So I'm curious to hear yours.
So I really went out of my way not to see the Rotten Tomatoes score this time. So I was booking tickets blindfolded. I was blocking screens. I was pretty much doing everything in my willpower not to see this.
It is funny that you have
Yeah,
so much
you
trouble
really-
not seeing Rotten Tomatoes scores, but yet your eyeballs are horrible.
Brendan has the vampire cataracts from the movie,
Yeah.
those red little...
So like to the point where when I'm booking on Fandangy, I'm calling Abby and going, listen, last night I booked with one eye open, and I don't know if I booked at AMC Wayne or AMC Clifton Commons. Abby confirmed, 2:15.
That should be our next unpaid staff member is Brendan's film
Yeah.
theater booking
Booker.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was busy.
Really?
It was,
At 2:10 p.m.?
It was the most packed theater like out
It's
of
a
all
cinematic
these movies
event.
we've done. Yeah.
So Abby and I, after very little arguing, decided to go see it in Times Square.
We went to Times Square because it was in IMAX. And I'm not just going to Times Square for fun.
But we like Googled RPX versus RX and
Screen 4DX.
YouTube squared and
Yeah.
Now is IMAX? I think my only experience with IMAX was at Liberty Science Center Planetarium.
Oh my
is that
Wrong.
IMAX?
God, dude, where are you?
Yeah, I know that it was. But
Also, this
guys
movie
think-
was filmed
I just wanna look-
65 millimeter IMAX film. Coogler actually Googled his way through the IMAX cameras to send it to our eyeballs.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, this
It was shot
he
on
did it-
IMAX.
Do you guys
he
think
ins-
this is like a film podcast or something, dude?
He insisted that it be seen that way, and I'm actually disappointed you didn't.
Wait,
'cause you're
well,
the Fletch fact.
I think I did see. I think
Factory.
I'm not sure if I did or
Factory
not.
did
It doesn't
not.
matter.
Fact.
You did
It was
not.
crisp.
Well, it wasn't because you would have paid $40 a ticket. It's absurd, actually.
Yeah, mine was 13.
It was $74 for me and Abby to have 2 tickets to this movie.
it's crazy.
Insane.
Besides that this movie was made for IMAX, I forgot how cool IMAX can be.
If I saw it in IMAX, how much that would have.
I mean,
affected
visually it
Well,
was
you'd
insane.
be
It
a
was-
way more
yeah.
valuable contributor to this episode. That's what
You would be
happen.
allowed to stay.
I also walked out.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't realize the movie was over.
Will did that too.
Well, that was my second bathroom.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, the movie's not over. And I was like, I don't care. I'm about to piss on you right now.
AMC's, they got some nice frills, some nice thrills, but they just have weird things wrong with them always. Their escalators are like McDonald's McFlurry machines. They're just like,
Broke.
half of them not going to work. And they're just like, yeah, just deal with it. Just walk up 900 flights in Times Square.
The exit took us through Dave and Buster's.
Yeah, we're leaving and we're listening. Where the fuck are we? We're in Dave and Buster's. We were just in Dave and Buster's out of nowhere.
All right. So me and Abby were like sitting next to this woman, like middle aged. She was by herself. very jubilant. She was exciting. We had maybe sat next to each other for 5 minutes, and she's already like putting her hand on my shoulder, like I might get scared or whatever. And I was like, I'm gonna love this. This is gonna be
She
more
was
fun.
pumped about the Trulies you were drinking.
Yeah. Well, also just like when you're sitting next to somebody that gets scared in a horror movie, it can get more, jumpy.
Sure.
And then, sure enough, like there's like a snake that gets her, and she and grabs my arm, and she's like almost like puts her head on my shoulder, like I'm so sorry. I was like, no, I love this. Please keep doing it.
Yeah.
But then, like halfway through the movie,
Start making out.
there's these two people having a full blown dissection of explaining Jim Crow and indentured servitude.
Dude, it was like an African American studies class, but it
But
was
it
like
was wrong
teenagers.
half the time.
Yeah, they were like teenagers. I thought it was a girl and a guy, and she was like trying to impress him. I finally did say something. And
Abby
then my
killed
heart
it.
was racing for like 10 minutes.
You
I couldn't
said
say
something correcting their
I told
history?
them to
to
be
shut
quiet.
the fuck up.
I thought you were like,
yeah, I was like,
listen, if you're going to
actually-
interrupt the movie,
Yeah.
let's get our facts
You don't
straight.
understand how proud of you I was in that
dude, that's
moment
awesome.
because I kept trying to do the head swivel aggressively to get them to like
Yeah, the woman next to you moved
So,
seats.
She goes, honey, I'm sorry. I got to move because these people won't shut the fuck up. I
hate that, yeah.
She gets up and she goes, this isn't your fucking living room, and then sits down.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
dude,
then
I
they
love this
still don't
woman.
clock it.
They
I
did not
love
stop
it.
talking. And then Abby,
the kid-
did you kill him with kindness?
I
Is that-
did, but it was like, so I turn around and I'm blown away by what I saw because I thought it was going to be a couple. It was two dudes, like 14, maybe. They looked like they were out of the movie Kids. Like super like skatery, like black dude with dreads and a white kid with like a really oversized t-shirt. And they were just, I think, stoned as hell and excited. Because usually you're being interrupted by someone annoying, like, wait, what did they say?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this kid was going like, oh, that's actually really familiar because in the Jim Crow South, like they would pretty much have indentured servants, which would then therefore pretty much lead to slavery.
Oh, my
and it was
God.
You're
just like,
giving more
bro,
credit because they were.
It was
were
dumber
like-
than that.
It was way dumber.
Yeah.
than
Like
that.
Adderall
Yes,
conversations.
it felt like Adderall and weed mixed, and like you've never been to a movie before.
Brendan, it was incessant. Like it was absolutely nonstop, full blown conversational.
It's my nightmare. Did it ruin the movie for you guys?
For like
Well,
20 minutes.
For 20 minutes,
Yeah.
it was a bummer. And also, I was bummed I didn't get to hang out with my girl anymore. I will say that I got to see her leave, and she was like, that movie was fucking amazing.
Spoiler.
Well, that's her
no, I'm
thoughts.
joking.
We'll have her on the show next time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the way the show starts is us going around and in one sentence and one sentence only, giving the synopsis of the film before we read the official one for contrast. I'd ask who likes to go first, but at this point, I think Sammy's synopsis has to lead us off.
All right, let's kick this off with a good old synopsis. Twin brothers Smoke and Stack return home to open their own juke joint, and in the process, unknowingly awaken a bloodthirsty clientele.
Ooh,
Tight.
that's shorter. Yeah, I like that.
Tighten it up. Tighten those screws up, baby.
Because, all right, Michael B. Jordan sizzles twice in this fiery vampire horror parable that swaggerly examines the intertwined intricacies of music and inclusion in Jim Crow America.
I like it.
That
Swaggerly.
sounds- Swaggerly, I just.
Swaggerly. Will's eyes turned up halfway through that.
Well, I
'cause-
saw
and he
your
was like,
reaction. I was like, "Oh shit! Maybe
he's
I made a good one this
excited.
week."
Abby, what are you cooking up?
blues, Jim Crow, and vampires in the movie.
That's pretty-
Abby's synopses are almost like haikus.
I think yet again,
Jackson
Brendan,
Pollock painting.
Brendan might have direct overlap to the official synopsis.
Because he's cheating.
Dude, can you imagine if
Yeah.
all this
Oh,
time
he
I was
didn't
cheating?
see those tomatoes. All right. Trying to leave their troubled lives behind. Isn't that what you said? Or
I
something?
said twin brothers. No, I didn't.
All right.
understand
Trying to
those
leave
words.
their troubled lives behind, twin brothers, Michael B. Jordan, return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. Wait, Brendan, say yours one more time.
Twin brothers Smoke and Stack return home to open their own juke joint and in the process unknowingly awaken a bloodthirsty clientele.
That's the same, except yours is better.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, but listen.
Smokestack Lightning.
Yeah, Howlin' Wolf.
Howlin' Wolf.
Yeah, yeah. And Ryan Coogler, that was a direct homage to Howlin' Wolf and the great Howlin' Wolf.
Some would say there was some music involved
Some
in this
would
movie.
say, yeah, this is kind of a musical. Get me out of here. What am I watching on Broadway, dude? No, I'm joking.
It's a
Listen.
lot like Broadway.
Okay, so, like, you're the musician of the group.
Yeah.
I found myself tapping my leg.
I thought this movie had music in it.
Abby's a musician.
Well, you're the.
Abby's a musician. Listen, there were
You're the less funny one. No.
There were so many good musical scenes, musical numbers. I loved how they were true to like the blues tradition, especially like in that
You want to hear some music?
geographical location in America. The Delta blues. And I thought Michael Caton, is that his name? Or Miles Caton, the young man playing the
Sammy.
preacher boy.
Yeah.
His voice was phenomenal.
Really.
And I'm not sure if he was actually playing the slide guitar, like he was playing that Cyclops dobro steel guitar. And there was just some really great scenes with him.
Oh, dude, was that a Cyclops dobro guitar?
Yeah,
Cyclops I
dobro.
totally knew that.
I think that's what it's called. Anyway, but
I thought it was a band, bro.
yeah. Listen, bros. Well, I don't know what the So
Yeah.
and all of the musical numbers, or at least a large majority of all the musical numbers, were performed live on set. They were
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if they used all the live recordings on set, but obviously when he's in that car with Stack and he's singing
it's a great
"Traveling,"
scene.
I'm not sure if that's an original song or not, but
Well-
yeah, he was great.
So I also thought the older guy, the alcoholic, the harmonica player that they
Hell
pick
yeah.
up to play the keys and shit.
Yeah.
He was incredible, and like I hadn't seen him in like a somewhat major role since he was in Spike Lee. What was it? Five Bloods.
Five
This-
Bloods.
The Five Bloods.
Yeah.
He put in this just miraculous performance in the Spike Lee movie that he stole the movie
Yeah, he was
by
great.
far. And I was
Oh,
the
yeah,
first time-
Delroy Lindo.
yeah. And he just showing up like the first scene where he's like cracking jokes and like, he won't let the other guy play. I was like, this dude, and his music was sick, I thought.
He was great. It was clearly a musical movie, much more so than I thought it would be. And I love how the music was connected to the plot, not just like
Super,
Because that's my least favorite thing about musicals. I love music, but I hate the idea of like trying to tell a plot story with a song that takes me out of it. But this one, the plot was actually based around music. I thought it was so cool. It was so funny because 45 minutes into the movie, I'm like, did I misread what this movie is? Like, my dad would love this movie. And then
Well, also-
and then later it's zombies, and I'm like, my dad would hate this movie. But
on zombies.
Vampires.
Okay.
I totally agree. It almost like those are some of my favorite movies. Walk the Line's a favorite of mine. And this I always thought there was so much potential with this subject. If you think of Robert Johnson, the Crossroads, and meeting the devil, selling
Sold his soul to the devil.
to be the best blues guitarist and singer of all time. I always thought there was so much source material there to create a movie like this, especially like a horror genre-bending musical.
He's playing
period
at a lot
piece,
of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I
period
think
drama like
Robert
this.
Johnson was a huge influence on this movie.
The oeuvre of the South
Yeah.
is very similar in both of those historical contexts.
Coogler talks about like all the various influences. Obviously, that is clearly one of them. The other is From Dusk Till Dawn, right? So From
Huge,
Dusk Till
yeah.
Dawn is way more comedic, but the idea of it's a bar and there are vampires, right? But the thing that he played at that he thought was so fascinating, that's so different, is From Dusk Till Dawn. It starts with the band, right? Music. It's still music, but it's it starts with a musical number that sets everything off. But it's already a group. For this, it is one person. And he likes the idea of that growth of evil that is kind of, instead of on the inside trying to get out, it's on the outside trying to get in, which mirrors like the theme of inclusion and segregation and all that shit. I want to talk. I think the villain might have been the most interesting character in the whole movie.
So we'll get to that.
Yeah.
And I think all of this sets up that, like, when Ryan Coogler said, I'm a dude from Oakland, I'm going to make this very important movie where I talk about Jim Crow South, indentured servitude, like all this,
There's a
talk about
joke
the
at the-
blues and everything. He was thinking, like, let me get 3 straight white men
To talk
from
about it,
Jersey to talk about this on a
Right.
podcast and criticize me, please.
Criticize.
Well, we'll do some of that,
It's gonna suck. No, I'm joking.
Yeah,
No,
but overall, this movie I liked, and I left it being like, I like this movie, but there were some flaws. But I gotta say, like, since then, that was Friday.
I wanna see it again.
keep thinking about it. I think about it more than many movies we've seen that I thought was better.
Same way.
And I think that matters. Like, I think that is something worth holding on to, and that's a big thing for me on this.
Some of the smaller shit too that I keep going back to, like just like Michael B. Jordan being able to just drop one of the dopest lines that has really not much. When he shoots the guy in the kneecap,
Do you want to save this for the?
Well, this is it's early on, but he was just like said something like, "Well, I can't just let somebody do that and walk away, right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
without a and it's just like that shit is dope.
No, and that's the thing. It had like multiple movies in it. It had like a gangster movie. It had like a musician finding his band type of movie.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest criticism with it. If I were to say
Too many.
anything about it, I felt like it was
Pulling at too many strings.
Yeah, it was just too much.
many.
Yeah. There was
6 string,
there's such a
12
big
string.
there's such a big undertaking, and I felt like it was almost too genre bending, and they were trying to Coogler. I felt like was trying to accomplish a lot with it, and by doing that, accomplished maybe not as
Slightly
much.
less.
Yeah, slightly less.
Yeah.
No, I
Jack
think
of all
that's fair.
trades, master of none. But I
Right.
think it mastered a lot.
I think it did master a lot, but yeah, I agree.
The Banj Bro instrument, how many strings it got?
Go, bro. It's a guitar. It's
Go,
just
bro.
steel.
How many strings?
So 6. Yeah.
6. How many did he pluck at?
What?
How many strings was he pulling at in this movie?
He was pulling at 6. So if I
All
a
6 of
musical,
them? How
a
many
period
did he
drama,
pull right,
a
and how
gangster
many did he
movie, a
pull
love
wrong?
story. It was a horror movie. It was a lot, and I felt like you have to have this crazy balancing act to pull that off. And I think he did pull it off in a lot of ways. But there were some moments where it felt like it was just a little like.
So it's a genre
much, but
dobro.
Yeah. Shut up. All right, let's go. What's next?
Beating this guitar over the head.
So that takes us to our beginning and maybe most important segment called Baby in the Corner, where Abby, the titular baby infant of the show, serves the purpose of letting the normal person know exactly how scary the movie is. Binkymeter score. Abby, tell us what it is and why How Scary Was Sinners.
Yes, I liked Sinners. It was not that scary. There were some jump out scenes. Snake got me hard. There was
Snake
like
hard.
2 vampire
Floaties,
moments.
dude, it was
Floaties.
floaties.
But again, as we play with this further, it's like the line I'm starting to realize isn't between scared and not scared. The line is between scared and fun. And how much of a teeter-tatter
true.
do we get? And I like I said for the last one,
So we should
Conjuring,
do a fun
scary,
meter.
yeah,
What's like a
an
little?
F meter.
Call it a baby rattle meter.
The rattle tattle.
And that
The maracas
Tattle
to be
quantifies fun.
musical.
True. Go.
Well, it's like, From Dusk Till Dawn is technically a horror movie.
Yeah.
But nobody
Honestly,
would ever
never
say
seen
it's
it, dude.
scary.
What?
I've seen scenes.
No, that doesn't count. You
Yeah, I know
haven't
it
seen
doesn't.
Yeah.
I know it
Talk
doesn't.
about genre.
Quentin
bending.
Tarantino's like it's doing a shot off a toe or licking
Yes,
a toe, and
yes.
then
Well, it's
Selma
funny
Hayek.
because he is the screenwriter.
Yeah.
And he wrote his character.
And you like write in.
And guess what? He also wrote his character to say some nice words about other races. But in general, it is a very good movie. But this one was fun. A few jump out scares, but it wasn't. It's not. If you should see this, baby crowd, see this movie.
Yeah, everybody should.
It's totally worth seeing. It's a cultural phenomena. It is part of the zeitgeist, and I'm going to give it 3.
3, that's it? No, there were the jump scares that
that's
were
too low.
scary were good.
Wait, don't let.
No, you're right. No, because I wasn't even around me. I'm going to give it a 4.2
I still think
because
that's low, but
420 did.
just
actually
based
so
on
good.
the one reaction of the lady that I love so much next to me, I was like,
No, I jumped out of my seat one time as well, so I can't
So I
pretend
feel
that
like-
it didn't scare me.
well,
But it wasn't. It
Who
did.
am I to Binky?
Yeah, but it did not.
Yeah.
It definitely didn't. Like the way the movie stuck with me in a positive way. I can't stop thinking about it. None of the scares stuck with me. Like that wasn't because I've seen vampire movies that stick with me where I'm like scared of the vampire. This wasn't that as much, but I just think as a movie it was super interesting and I liked it.
there
And I'm
were
glad
some-
to talk about it. But
There were some pretty cool, sinister lines that were spoken. It was accessible.
yeah, it was accessible, and I do think to add to the fear. I mean, why it's not a 2 on the Binkymeter? It's like they did a good job of. Like vampires turn very quickly in this. We'll talk about the rules of the vampire because that's very important. But they turn very quickly, and so like there was, one of the creepiest scenes to me wasn't gore, wasn't jump scare. It was one of the characters. You see that she's maybe in danger of the vampires, and then a quick cut to her just being normal and just being "Hey, can I come in?" And then you're just like, "Oh, that's scary." Like that stuck with me more than any other.
Very
part.
The Thing.
Very The Thing.
But
And that's a
also-
huge. Yes. Oh my god.
Among Us.
It's,
Lot of-
it's
yeah.
the garlic scene.
Exactly. So let's get to the spoiler room. It
All right,
feels about time.
We already spoiled the room. Hold on. Let's officially creak down there. We're not at the door yet, Brendan.
Oh, sorry.
Now open it.
Damn, it was a long hallway.
Get some
Inside.
WD-40 on that.
All right, let's spoil the fuck out of this movie. So
But yeah, the Thing homage, that's one obvious one, which was
The
cool.
what?
thing
thing
homage.
homage
Oh,
with the
thing
garlic.
homage. Yeah,
the
yeah,
garlic
yeah,
instead of the
yeah.
petri dish, like the faculty.
So there, if you haven't seen it, although you should have seen it in between our walk down the creek, that's the whole point. But if you're not going to see it, they're sitting around and they realize we got to figure out who's the fucking vampire. Because again, one of the coolest plots of this movie was that you don't know who the vampires are. It doesn't become obvious. So they're going around the circle.
Well, they think
and they
one's
have to
inside
Eat,
with
right. So they have to eat garlic, and whoever doesn't want to eat it is a vampire. And it's the greatest plot. I mean, The Thing is one of our favorite horror movies
easiest
ever.
way, one of the best ways to create tension. It was genius in that film.
Because we can all relate to being around your friends, and you're like, one of them's going to kill me.
And if those of you who haven't seen The Thing, if you've ever played the game Among Us, it's sort of a similar,
Wait, I've never
similar
played Among
dynamic.
Wait,
Done
you
Among
played
Us
a
with the
video game that
HBO
I
Max
haven't?
show.
I haven't played it either, but I know
Just
the
watch it
premise
and,
of
like,
it.
wank?
I know the premise of the video game.
You wank. But the important part about that homage is that it was a full blown fake out in the sense that there was no vampire inside.
No, it's a good twist.
Yeah, yeah.
Although that girl was being so stupid, like eat
Which
the
one?
fucking garlic. She was like,
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
gonna make me sick. It's like, bro, you just watching people die and bleed out their.
Oh, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
and
yeah.
then the drunk guy being like, "Oh, I just drank too much." Like,
Yeah.
he had these little fake out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the movie was funny as fuck at some point.
Yeah, there were
Yeah.
funny parts.
very, very funny. But I like that little twist of, oh, was that even blood in the first place
Yeah.
that got us all worked up to do this garlic
Right.
It was
exercise?
was it wine or
Yeah, it was
something?
fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Another homage, or I don't know if it's homage, but have you guys seen? So, Interview with the Vampire. Obviously, the original is like Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And that's like its own thing, and that's a fun, weird movie. But I watched a little bit of the show. They made a show,
There's a
like a
show?
spin-off
Oh,
show.
really?
Yeah, and it's like corny, but it's
You mean what we do in the show?
it had what was cool though is it was the first before this it was one of the first like there's a black vampire in 1930s New Orleans in that one.
Oh, nice.
So it felt like there was some similarities to that vibe. I mean that was recent, so it's not really an homage as much as just a coincidence.
And then
maybe.
Blade comes in,
Um,
and then
Exactly.
Wait, Blade doesn't kill black vamps though.
he kills white vamps.
So okay, so
I will say this: like, I think a lot of times when movies do this thing where they have the same actor playing brothers or whatever, it's two different characters.
Yeah.
I think like it can
It's
come
really
off
hard to
lame.
pull it off.
It's
Oh
hard to
my
pull it off,
God.
and also it's like you can sort of sometimes notice. There's an unnatural dialogue between the two because they're actually not speaking to one another. They're maybe
Yeah,
speaking to a
yeah,
stand-in, or
yeah.
or they're maybe not speaking to anyone at
they're
all.
definitely not
It's really-
speaking to one another.
But,
live.
yeah, not obviously. but this felt like very seamless. I felt like Michael B. Jordan. Obviously, he's playing two characters, right? And
He did
killed,
so good.
He killed both characters. It was so believable.
To
Both
your
characters,
point,
yeah.
right when it started, I was like, "Oh fuck, this is gonna be bad. Like this is gonna be cool, but bad." I didn't, and then within like 3 words of it, I was like, "Fuck, okay, he's gonna pull this
yeah.
off. This is amazing."
So I was me and Ibby have, shout out to Ibby, last episode's guest. We have this thing, Mount Rushmore, of just like the guys that we got the biggest crushes on.
Yeah.
Right? And they're perennial Rushmore members, and then there are guys that come and go.
Mm-hmm.
Watching this movie, so the criteria is just like, you ever watch a dude and you just get angry?
Yeah,
At
how,
how
like
cool
he's
and
like,
handsome
God
they are. You're
didn't like
you're
deal
like,
with the cars.
fucking get
evenly.
out of here,
Yeah, yeah.
Michael. Dude, get
Yeah.
out of. He was so dope in so many ways, and like obviously he's very good looking. Michael B. Goddamn Jordan, he had me twisting my panties up in a bunch and gagging the lady next to me with them. But what I did, here's the first fact that I wanted to share. So Dub's detail, it's not a Fletch fact, but so Jack O'Connell, the guy who plays Remick, the bad,
Yeah, the
the
Irishman.
master vampire. So first of all, that guy, I've been telling people about this movie Startup for a long time. It's one of the best prison movies you'll ever watch. I was just blown away by how good of an actor this guy is, and then I completely forgot about him. So in an interview I watched like a day or two ago, they were asking him like, all right, so like, music, like what was you? And he was like, well, it was all me, but like, some I knew and some, and he was like, even the banjo, that was you. And he was like, yeah, except I didn't know how to play the banjo before this movie. He taught himself the banjo for this fucking movie. Everything else he could already sing, and the Irish jig. So he called that his ace up his sleeve during the audition. He like took Irish dancing lessons as like an 8-year-old and never got to put them to use ever. But it was listening to the interview, him talking about this, you can barely understand this guy. He's so Irish. Which takes me to my next screen theme, which is interesting, talking about inclusion, racism. it's fascinating to me that he was Irish, because Irish are probably the most, in terms of plight of Americans outside of black people, right? Irish people had it kind of rough, right? And he's an Irish guy playing Irish folk music. And he actually, despite how evil he wasn't racist. He wanted to create this
No, right. And it was, he actually took on the two KKK members. Let's zoom out for a second. There's these two scenes that are like the most memorable to me, besides some of the action
Wait,
stuff.
how many feet away are we right now?
We're 30,000 feet in the sky. Fucking the conversation shot, the beginning of the conversation movie. Rest in peace, Jim Hackman. Gene Rackman.
Big Rack, man.
Yeah.
I love Big Racks, man.
You sure do. Okay, so they go from the juke joint. They're having a dance party. It's fun. And then it turns into this medley. Surrealism starts coming in. And it's pretty much like, I don't want to speak as a white man, but it's like, felt like it was sort of like black music medley, all entwined. And it's like got old blues, it's got R&B, rock and roll, and then it's got hip hop.
Jimi Hendrix guy.
Yeah, they have exactly. They have a Jimi Hendrix, and then they got hip hop going. They have funk. They have everything, and it's just this great. And the camera work is insane there. It's like running around like crazy.
I'm kind of with Brendan. That was my least favorite part.
So
of it.
No, I actually like that scene.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Wow.
talking about-
Way to be.
Yeah. That's not the scene I was talking about.
But I thought that was super fucking cool. I thought that was super interesting. It was bordering on like multiple things in this movie. I was scared it was going to be cringe because it's doing a lot.
So did I.
It's doing a lot that's like, oh, you're sort of beating the head. Like the kid behind me wanted to tell me, like, guess what? It represents like the black experience. But like also, I think he pulled it off musically, like sonically, not just like, oh, good notes. It was like full sound.
Yeah,
it was
I
really
agree.
cool.
It was
Yeah,
great,
when-
but that's what I like.
But Will hated it, so let's hear why.
No, I thought it sounded dope, and I like the music, but I just thought that was the only point of surrealism in the entire film, and it just came out of nowhere. Like,
Right.
they
It was
already-
like a set piece that he wanted to
yeah,
show off.
and they already established the fact in the first frame of the movie that music can create this opening to
between life and death.
good and bad. But in my opinion, I thought it was already opened by the
song
the
that he sang.
indigenous. No,
Oh.
because remember the indigenous people are already looking for Remick.
Choctaw Indians.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Choctaw.
Or Native Americans. Sorry.
Yeah.
Damn, son.
They were vampire.
Racist alert.
Choctaw Native Americans were the vampire hunters, and that's
So
while his skin was burning because they had put
Right.
some sort of like,
well, no,
No,
because
'cause the
the
sun was out.
out.
Oh, that's right. I'm
Yeah,
such
yeah.
a dumb ass.
Yeah.
Please put me in the dumbass room. Thank you.
Oh wait,
Put 'em in the
that's
sun.
a new segment.
Creep down to
next
dummy
to the
room.
spoiler room. We kick him down the stairs into the dumbass room. But yeah, the Choctaws. My assumption was that they did something musically that
Brought them in.
brought him in. Anyway,
Interesting.
but
I love the twist though, also because you usually, I mean, music is beautiful, and it's like obviously you can think of it as a connection to the rest of the large consciousness we don't understand that is existence, but like that. The connection of that is usually spun in a positive way, and I thought it was a cool spin. You guys know more about horror movies, vampire movies, but has anyone ever done this where like music is the like gateway for evil?
well, except for
like,
what I
that's
just
super
said
cool.
with From Dusk Till Dawn, because it all starts with the musical number.
They actually they did an interview with Coogler, and he said he wanted to show how the power of the music is bridging the gap between these two planes, like the astral plane and the terrestrial plane, and how to do that effectively. So he thought the best way to do that was to have Remick and the other two vampires kind of have the walls disappear in the juke
Right.
joints, and then that would show like the blending of these two worlds, and now they're open to like, you know, to this astral plane or whatever. But also, I think that scene worked on so many levels. Like, I think it was effective not only because it bridged this gap between the two planes, but it was like a celebration of how music just in general celebrates, you know, lineage and an ancestral past. And you know, you actually saw in that scene there was an Asian woman wearing like traditional opera garments.
Yeah, it wasn't all black
which-
people.
yeah.
Yeah. There
Which
was also a monk like playing a flute.
Yeah,
and
but
shit.
because the Chinese couple, it was a celebration of just like ancestral roots and stuff.
Right.
So
and there was African masks too.
And it was just a cool ass scene, standalone. I thought.
So I think that's fair that you know we all liked it. You thought that the surrealism was a little much for you
Well,
compared
I
to
just
the
thought
rest
it
of the
was.
movie.
It felt slightly out of. I think if they did the musical number without the building burning around them and like.
Yeah. No. I totally
like
was
the
close
idea,
to feeling how
I
you
like
were
the
saying.
idea of it drawing the vampires there. I think that makes perfect sense. There are only 3 of them at that point. The music that we've already, you know, it's been leading up to something, right?
Yeah.
But I just didn't like. I like the music itself. That's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Shoot, I was like half dancing during but like tapping my leg.
That's the thing, like with musicals in general, like musical numbers are just kind of inherently cringe a little bit, right? Like
100%.
whenever
felt-
someone breaks out in song, but like but this it made sense because it was performance. But as soon as you saw like the Jimi Hendrix kind of
Yeah,
guitarist
that-
guy, I was like, oh no, is this gonna? Yeah, this could be potentially really cringe. But then they just kind of like they went for
really
broke.
went with it.
Yeah,
Like,
they went for broke on it, and it worked for
I
me.
just personally, the music worked for me the way he did it.
Yeah, it's okay. We don't have to.
No, but
You
I
said
probably.
And Dubs is racist.
But I do want to say something about so we talked about Irish, like him. It's interesting that the white guy, he's the bad guy for sure, but he in his own mind he has good intentions.
Yeah.
There is a line where he says when I was kicked out of my own country, right? He's referring to when Christianity came to Ireland,
Right.
Like when they had the paganism, basically,
Which is
and-
like what vampires like stand
yeah,
against, right?
and that's what he's referring to when he's saying kicked out. It's less to do with Protestant Catholicism, because you got to remember this movie took place right after World War One.
Right.
This is pre-World War II. And also, I read somewhere that Bram Stoker is Irish, so I think they wanted to. It was kind of a nod to Bram Stoker. Irish
This is all about
lineage.
the plight of certain people in America.
No, 100%. And I was kind of confused. Yeah, no, I understand that Irish people
takes
are
me-
immigrants. My grandma is an Irish immigrant. I get the.
Fucking mine.
I get it.
I actually know.
But what I'm saying is,
Dude, I'm
I think
more
it works on.
Irish.
I think it works on
I
many
had more
levels.
plight. Dog.
I think it works on many levels, is what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, why did they make Remick Irish? Like, what was the creative decision behind that? Why
Well,
did they-
to me, it is absolutely because they are one of the only white people that actually suffered like the certain plight of like when they first came, it was to escape, and then they got here and people hated them.
So do you think is the idea to
So-
separate it from the KKK because it's almost like there's two bad guys in this movie?
Yeah,
and
that
then
way-
you realize the real bad guy is actually at the end.
Well, it's so
KKK.
easy to see the villain in this film in Jim Crow America as a white guy, and you immediately assume, oh, this is a racist. But it's so much more complicated than that. He is just an embodiment of not necessarily evil, but like this force
I would
that
say
just
evil.
evil.
Yeah.
But he also just
But not
wants to,
racist evil, just
exactly,
evil.
exactly,
right.
and he just wants more people to be freed, literally freed into this communal nothingness.
Yeah.
Right.
So when I said you want to go next level, this is what I was going to say. So the Chinese family that has been taken under the wing, what they were, the same way I think it's important that he was Irish, they were the bridge in Jim Crow between the whites and the blacks in the sense that, I don't know if you noticed this, they have a grocery store on both sides of the street, right? The older, more experienced woman runs the white side of the street. The younger one runs the black side of the street. They're still siding with the blacks. They want to hang out with this group of people. But what I thought was fascinating is clearly they don't fully belong there, right? They don't feel like they are. They're there to make money. That's it. And they're kind of this other out of place group. But they're that bridge. I don't think it's a coincidence that they are the ones, she specifically, the wife,
That lets them in.
she invites them in.
Yeah.
She burns the bridge, right? So she like, and I'm stealing some of this from like something I read or heard, but I don't think it's a coincidence that these people that cared, they wanted to be identified by either, probably belong to neither, and at the end of the day, it's just, they were in such a brutal place that they just had to, like the bridge was so less important to them that they could be like, come in.
And the Irish point, I hear that. I understand that. I didn't get it either, but that's a good take at least. I don't know how 100% Ryan Coogler was like trying to make that point, but I like that idea that it's like, okay, what we need him to be something that is not just WASP. Like he's not a good old boy. Because
Yeah,
that
he could have
has
been
its own
an
representation.
English descendant, right? Like an ex-pilgrim that's just been here forever,
Right,
or
but
whatever.
no, but they
But
he was supposed
he
to be
wanted to
different.
kill this
Right.
KK, and which he
Right.
did in the very first.
Well, but again, it can't be that he wants to kill them, but he wants to free the other people. He's just motivated by
but
his own.
so he freed the KKK people from
Right.
They're what he does is he makes people into this.
No, I know,
communal-
but I'm saying he doesn't get bonus points for freeing the KKK people. That's not like it's not moral.
Well,
You're
he's
saying
not
he was
freeing
he
them.
was a uniting force. You're saying.
Yeah,
Got
we
it.
tried
Okay.
to be, but on the unfortunate problem is that the union is like
Vampires.
Yeah, vampires,
Yeah, you
evil
turn
people that
into-
have to kill. But at the very least, they're like a shared mind who experience what others experience, and he seemed at least to have some pure intentions.
One of the positives of the movie too to me was like the analogy I wrote down is like the first 45 minutes before anything happens is both cool. The music stuff is really cool, but I also found it to be a little corny. And my analogy after it was like a wedding. Like I hate dressing up personally, and I don't like ceremony that much.
too, dog.
But I felt like I feel like I've learned this from going to many weddings. It's like the ceremony, whether you love it or hate it, you buckle in for it. It makes the party so much
Like it,
better.
hey, you're drunk.
Yeah, no, but it makes the party so much better. So it's like I think this sort of did that in those 45 minutes. Even though I liked a lot of it and some of it I found a little cringy. It all sort of like the love story between him and Steinfeld.
Yeah.
I didn't buy
I
it.
can't really.
They were
It was
forcing that
bad.
in.
It was really forced.
They're
It felt
forcing
like.
it
I
in,
disagree.
And,
But either way, I still was fine with it because it let me settle in for then when we got fun, when it became a zombie.
Yeah.
To me, I thought
vampire.
Steinfeld. I thought she existed as a means to separate Smoke from Stack.
Right?
Like,
no, she did.
the
She just.
same way-
I still don't need a love.
Well,
Yeah, but it
actually, if you
wasn't
think
that
about it-
deep of a story.
What separates
like-
smoke from stack is a chimney. Now, back in the bricklayers' days of Ireland, they would make a smokestack, and that was actually pretty hard work.
Isn't
Now,
that
the
a
way that-
burger at Shake Shack?
Listen, I liked all the musical numbers. The one I was talking about, I referenced it in the beginning.
Yeah.
With the Rocky Road to Dublin scene, where now, the people inside the juke joint, a lot of them have now turned to vampires. And they've joined Remick and his, vampire cronies, and they're starting this jig, the Irish jig scene, Rocky Road to Dublin. It's this big musical number. And they're stomping their feet. They're doing this big choreographed thing, and I'm like, all right, okay, it's getting a little bit. It's taking me out a little bit. This scene.
Did you feel attacked culturally?
I felt a bit of cultural appropriation. I was like, listen, they're not even doing it right. But the Wild Mountain Time, I will say, that's actually a Scottish song. But we won't go there. I did like that number when Haley Steinfeld
Walks
goes
out and
out
they're
just to
playing
check
the banjo,
to see if they're
yeah.
cool to come in, and they're playing the banjo, and they're doing 3-part harmony. Wild Mountain Time is one of my favorite songs ever.
So you
Really
thought
like
that the
scene.
big one was just too much?
Yeah, I just thought it was too much.
And what
Like,
was the point?
Yeah, I just felt
I
like
thought it was cool, but I don't have a strong.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
What was that doing? What was that? How is that serving the
It was
story?
like, their Vampire Weekend.
What?
You know what I mean? Like, what was it?
Well, it was
accomplishing?
like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was like,
I get
it was
the
like white
musical number in the
music.
juke joint. Like
Right.
that made sense to me. Like in terms of like the narrative they were trying to tell. The Rocky Road to Dublin was like.
I thought it was
what is
cool
that?
in terms of horror. It's like
First of all,
you
are we
cut
talking
from
about
being
ice cream right now?
Scared.
Rocky Roads.
You cut from being scared inside
Mm-hmm.
of these bloodthirsty to then the dichotomy of them outside dancing around, like fooling you into thinking that they're chill when really they're not. And
Like,
I also thought it played
would
on.
you be like standing in the juke joint and you witnessing them doing Rocky Road to
Like, that's
Dublin, and
pretty
you're like, dude, these guys are actually pretty chill.
Actually, my favorite.
I actually
people.
want to become a vampire.
No, but actually,
Well,
to that point,
was
yeah, I think that
he
was part of
made
the
a-
point.
He made a
That's
compelling
kinda
case.
dumb,
Also,
to
the
me, in my
one thing
opinion.
I didn't expect was how early into the vampire attack they separated the Jordans, the Michael
Yeah.
B's.
Yeah.
And I
Scottie
thought that was
Pippen.
great. Also, when Haley Steinfeld starts kissing, what is it? Stack, not Smoke.
Steinfeld actually does have a grandfather that's black. and
Okay, so-
Filipino.
so-
she actually is like has African American ancestry,
Yeah.
and
So-
she's playing that like passing character.
Yeah, it kept being like, she's family.
She
Okay,
yeah,
Olive
hold on, hold on.
Garden.
So I saw
family.
like the Key and Peele skit where and he's like, "Good afternoon, my octoroon," and it's Haley.
No, I don't know that one.
Wait, the Key and Peele where he like he daps up people like the president
Oh, yeah,
Obama based on whether or not
Haley's-
he's
oh, you're
the
saying-
white,
code switching?
the white guy
Oh,
and then the
got
black
it.
guy.
Got it,
He'll
got it,
give
got
a
it.
real
Yeah,
dap.
yeah.
And then there's like one he's not sure about, and somebody goes like,
Yeah.
and he
He's
goes,
like,
"Good
you-
afternoon, my octoroon." Or some
He's like,
shit.
you know this.
Yeah.
It's like, this is all we got.
Get in here, get in here.
Yeah,
but
they
yeah,
kept
no,
being like, she's family. We're family. We're going out to eat.
well,
I want to know if the dude, what's his name again? The guy that was in The Five Bloods. If he was actually playing the
harmonica player.
I doubt he.
Dude,
was.
I love when he first takes that sip of beer, like the Irish beer, and I was just like next to Will watching him
Delroy
do that
Lindo.
with a Wildberry Truly, and I was like, oh, this is very relatable.
I was also
love
going.
it.
That beer is probably like 78 degrees.
Yeah.
But
Also,
compared to what he's been
In that
drinking,
hot ass
no,
car all
but
day.
I mean, he's got a
Sounds great.
flask. If you're an alcoholic, you just want alcohol. I don't.
okay, don't pretend you know what it was like to be in the 1930s.
To be fair, Dubs was probably pissing away a margarita in the bathroom at
Yeah.
that point in time.
I'm just
So.
saying, when I got my eyes set on just getting to, from point A to point
you-
B, I'm
I-
never gonna well, actually, no.
I would say you're very similar to the 1930s Jim Crow black man begging for money while he plays harmonica at the
They
train
call
station.
me Delroy sometimes.
Delroy Dubs at the
Oh.
NASDAQ. Also, wait, what'd you tell me about before the movie about this website that
right.
tells you when to piss during movies? For those of you alcoholics out there that can't hold one movie through.
That's amazing.
It supposedly tells you.
I peed twice.
Yeah, you did. I know.
But I will say that
you
I was
consult the website?
way no.
Just wear a diaper like a regular alcoholic, dude. Jeez.
Wow, that's so true. Like Katy Perry in space.
So there is an app that will tell you the best time in the movie to pee, and me and Abby were joking like, how this movie just came out. Like, do people go to the premieres and like take notes about the best times to piss, and also what dictates? Like, is it lack of dialogue? Is it like when's the worst cinematography?
It's just like a will in the back, just like no boobies, no boobies, boobies. Don't go right then. Don't go at 32 minutes.
You can't pee during the bees.
You got some good vaping in, I bet, when that bathroom.
So-
what else did you guys like not particularly enjoy about this movie?
I thought that the love story, I didn't really buy it. Besides that, I was
There were
pretty
two
sold
love
on it.
stories, by the way.
Yeah, and I
one-
didn't buy the Steinfeld one.
There was
The
three.
other one
there
was the
there was
longer
three.
one.
There
Oh,
was
yeah,
three.
three.
There was Preacher
Oh,
Boy
when
and that.
he's-
And the
Yeah.
He
I
goes,
liked
I want
hers.
to
That was
taste
cute.
you.
Yeah, that was cute.
I
And then
want
there's
to taste
the
you,
smoke
and then
club.
there's the whole like, listen to my cousin.
Cunnilingus, yeah.
Dude.
It's kind of like they had this backstory, Al Capone. So it's kind of like a mobster movie, a little bit in the street, and yeah, it was a Broadway musical, it was a horror movie, it was a period
love-
drama.
With the Native Americans scene, too, I thought that was so cool. I've never seen this before to really show the time. It was a horse, a group of people with a horse and a car.
And a car.
And that's like such a cool,
But
like
also-
that era only existed for a few decades,
Yeah.
like
They-
where there would be
She was
groups.
mad Wells
in
Fargo.
har- I don't get it.
Isn't the logo Wells Fargo?
I
like
believe you.
Car and a horse.
Own it, dude.
But also,
I
they
did.
never. I kind of thought the Choctaws would come
back. I agree.
And they did.
I wish. I
but
want a
also-
whole spin-off, dude. They were so
also,
cool.
The part where
He
you
buys
get
it from the
introduced
guy.
to Smoke and Stack, that shit was. He's like, we got big boy bullets or whatever, big man. It's a dope ass scene. It's the intro to the characters.
So
and
do
then,
they hint in that they know the KKK
Nope,
is involved?
Nope. They just look like they're strong arming him to make sure that he goes through with the deal. And it's Remick
Yeah.
who lets them know that it was KKK.
Right.
So for Stack to just, after all that he went through, to be like, I got something to do. And Ryan Coogler is just like, we're going to give you this thing that.
Yeah, it was their Inglourious Bastards moment
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. This would be like a Key and Peele sketch, like three white dudes talking about this movie and trying to not offend like one person. Be like, the Choctaw scene was actually my favorite part. Wait, no, but I like the Chinese ancestral opera clothing. Yeah, that was cool. But yeah,
Of all
like,
that, we should have had Ibby be the guest appearance on this
that's
one.
what I said to Abby. Before.
So, the first time you saw Django, as white dudes,
remember,
you were
like,
like,
yeah,
this
yesterday,
movie
dude.
is fucking dope. But if there is one asterisk about Django, it is that a white guy wrote it and directed it, right? And that kind of makes it a little bit just like, but it's fucking dope. That movie is dope. There's no denying it's dope. This movie was dope, and it was just, I feel like it was more,
It was more doper.
it had more dopamine. Anyway, there was one line that I really loved. 'cause-
So wait, what did you not like about this movie?
Oh, I loved it.
You
I
loved every moment of it.
I loved
No, he said he didn't love the surrealism of the.
Oh, that's right.
Medley.
Yeah, because
That's
I
right,
thought
that's
that
right,
was
that's right,
one
that's
surreal,
right.
and I also
You
thought
you liked the probably most culturally significant portion of the film where that it really celebrated black people.
Well, I would actually
Got it.
argue
Let me write
that
that one down.
I think it was just a bit on the nose, and we had already opened the gates of the musical Doorway to Hell.
My favorite part was the 1932 Dobro Cyclops resonator guitar.
There were a couple of lines though that I love this one line where because Sammy, Preacher Boy, he wants to leave like them. He wants to go to Chicago.
Right.
And I think it's Smoke that says Chicago is just Mississippi with tall buildings, a set of plantations.
Yeah,
basically that Jim Crow, even if it's not there, it's there.
Which is so poignant.
And it was just a well delivered line.
Yeah.
And it kind of destroyed this kid's dreams.
Yeah, true.
But Preacher Boy ends up kind of sort of being the hero of the movie.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He's definitely the savior. Like, he's the person they need to save. He's the person that needs to live on because he's gonna turn
He's
into a
also
good
the-
old buddy guy.
He is also the one that opened the gate. So maybe.
But that's not his fault.
I will say, I think my favorite scene of this is how Sammy ultimately serves as a transition point between the Jim Crow era of discrimination and contemporary black success, as helped by his elderly years portrayed by legendary musician Buddy Guy.
Buddy Guy.
My favorite part is this thing that I wrote when you were talking about the Irish, the big Irish
Rocky wrote it up
communal
one? Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
I was like,
Jake.
this really felt like a drum circle at Maria Hernandez Park for a
Oh,
second.
yeah.
I was like, oh, this is. But again, I thought it was a cool like switch up. But okay, wait, I want to talk about. Let's put this in the context of what this podcast is about. So horror-wise, this is a vampire movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And vampire movies, y'all have surely seen more than me, but I'm pretty caught up with all the
Nosferatu,
Draculas.
dude. Nosferatu.
Type
So,
of-
but it's interesting. Like one of the big things with any surrealism, really, or any supernatural, whatever, you have to set up the rules. So the rules in this one were interesting. One is like the zombies turned really fast. You know what I mean?
28 days
some-
later style.
yeah. So I haven't seen that. You're gonna make me. I already know. But so that was an interesting one. So for Fear, that was very scary. That it's like there's not that long delay. So they played a little bit with some taking a little longer. Michael B. Jordan took a fucking while to come back.
That scene where he does come back and he puts a knife through the door and they're both everybody's looking
That was
through,
scary.
and you're just
Everyone's
like,
screaming,
"Who's
"Don't put your
getting
eye near it,"
Yeah.
yeah.
And then he
played with
knew
you.
when to do it and not do it.
Yeah, he
which
played with you.
as somebody who's never made a horror movie before, dude,
That's
if
actually a
Fruitvale
New York
Station-
Times review I read. It said he knows when to do it and when not to do it.
Damn, that's what. Hold on.
And I said, damn, dude.
And he said,
we-
damn, he had to do
when
it
he
to him.
does do it,
4
he
stars.
had to do it to him. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes you got to do it, sometimes you don't do
Hold
it.
on. Speaking
And
of
that's film.
Michael Jordan songs, this is how we do it.
That's Montel Jordan, dude.
Same thing. Sing it,
so,
Brendan.
So then there's the turning fast rule. Then there's Will caught this before I even did, very early. They have to be invited in. I didn't catch it. I thought that was so
Oh,
clever.
yeah, it's cool.
That was such a fun spin.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
think
such the analogy to like inclusion,
Right.
Like
You can't just come in. You have to be let
yeah,
in.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and,
And I also think it's like, as someone who plays music and who's a big fan of
Buddy Guy.
blues music and likes to play blues music, it's like, you know what I mean? I can play blues music, but it's also like,
Yeah, it
you
ain't
gotta,
for you.
It's not for me. It wasn't made for me. It's definitely, it's, I mean, I think everyone experiences blues
Maybe
anyway.
not for me,
But
yeah.
everyone can get their own, find their own connection with the music. But I think, like in that scene where the harmonica player, Preacher Boy, and Stack are in the car, and they're basically saying, "Oh yeah, I would play for these white folks," and some of them would tap their feet and they would almost have rhythm.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
that's
it, like,
funny as-
and it was kind of like, I think black culture in general, you almost need like permission to, I don't know what I'm trying to. White people steal black culture. White people steal
Yeah.
black culture constantly.
wasn't that a point when
Yeah, well,
when,
it's
when
like
the
in a-
Remick tried to come in.
Yeah,
no,
of
well,
course.
well, I think they mainly said we don't want white people in here because like we step on their shoe or
Right.
you know, we bump into them. There's going to be repercussions because actually they said when they started playing that like Pick Robin Red, that bluegrassy folky tune, they're like, oh, this is pretty good.
Also, there was that scene where Delroy, the actor, I don't know his character's name, is talking about that horrible story about his friend getting like lynched.
Yeah.
And then he just starts going, and there's just like that immediate like
was good.
introduction of like blues is
Yeah,
pain,
pain, yeah.
pain is
Yeah.
is power. Like that music is, that's why it's so important to that community. But I do think they did explicitly pretty much say like, this music ain't for you. If you want to play that shit, you go to your place.
No, they didn't say that.
No, they did.
They didn't say that.
They
They did say it, but I do think that they might have been like you
They
said.
said if you want
once
to,
they turned
if you
around,
can't play blues music, I don't remember that.
they didn't say blues music. They were just saying this place ain't for you. They said that
Yeah,
several
but I don't
times.
think they were doing that from the
because-
perspective of the music. They were saying that because
Yeah.
they
well,
didn't-
it was more their music wasn't for them, I guess. if that-
yeah.
One more on the vampire side of it. So they turn very quickly. They can act and look just like others, like the Thing, like we were talking about. And then they can do like a crazy jetpack fly whenever they want
The
to, which is
floaties. Yeah.
crazy. What's cool and what was pretty scary in the realm of that was that they don't go over the top with that. You just know that they can do that,
Yeah.
but they're not like climbing on the roofs and like doing a bunch of that.
It was
So-
also Remick each time. It was the
you're
super
right. The
vampire.
So one question about Remick. Did you guys feel like there was any explanation for his actual origin?
No, I
right?
think that we're not supposed to know, and
Okay.
it started with the
That's
Choctaw,
what
and
I
I
thought
kind of
too.
love that.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. So then,
And also that the first people he killed were KKK people.
right.
Yeah.
But also sort of just because that's where he ran into. I don't think you can put morals on
Right.
that on him.
Well,
but,
also they kind of dupe us in the sense that
They
the
seem nice
Choctaw
for a
are
second.
like, well, they're like, oh, he's not what you like. He's
Yeah.
So you almost feel like bad for you're like empathy.
yeah.
You're like, KKK people don't get killed by the
and then it's like totally wrong. No, and that was very on purpose and very good. So I'm ready to get into the very ending.
They have the KKK finally show up to the juke joint at the end, and Michael B. Jordan kills them all, basically.
so satisfying.
I actually thought I would have preferred the movie.
It was shoehorned,
Yeah, it was shoehorned in.
but I still loved
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it
I
felt-
still loved it.
I don't think so though, because my thing was, I think for maybe you shoehorn in a fun scene to make everyone happy, like how every Disney movie ends with a dancing scene. But I thought it was actually really important because to the point we were talking about before, it was showing that like Remick, like that's not the bad guy, the Irish person that's trying to free people through a misinformed and still he's evil because he's trying to bring you to the devil, but he's still different than the people with hate in their heart, and that was the real bad guy the whole time, and that's the real bad guy of this Jim Crow South, is not a religious thing, it is purely greedy white people.
I think that is very well said. I can see the shoehorned in the sense that
Killing them all maybe was a
no,
little bit
but
like...
the whole movie was never about that, but it becomes about that and the the effect of that. Also, I leaned over to Abby when he like is like I have to do something, and he gets his military thing, and you start to realize what's probably going to happen. I'm like, did we see his brother actually die?
Right.
Like, did we? And you were like, no. So I'm like, okay, this is not the real ending. This is his ending, right? Because there's two of them, and this guy's gonna die already. He's already like, wasn't he already?
He was bleeding and he had been shot already once.
Yeah.
And
Smoke, you talk about?
No,
After
Stack,
he gets shot?
Stack we didn't see die.
before the KKK scene, the two brothers fight.
Yes,
And
correct.
he has a chance to impale him.
Right,
And then it cuts away.
Yeah.
Got it. You were
Because-
expecting more movie after this? After the KKK thing? That's
you were
crazy.
right.
I wasn't expecting more movie before the KKK scene. I thought the movie was going to be
the
over
only
within
reason-
60
the only
seconds
reason
of the end of the night. Like
didn't
when the sun
expect-
rose, I was like, oh, we got another like 60 seconds.
I didn't
Wrap it
expect
up.
more movie. I didn't expect that much more, but I did say
it
to
was too
Abby,
much.
we
It
didn't
was too
see
much in
him
my
die.
opinion.
So that means if we're gonna watch the closeout of this character's story, that means there has to be the closeout of the other ones.
Yeah, but okay.
hold on,
my
but anyway-
personal, I felt like that I didn't feel like I had to see Stack die because to me, I just assumed, oh, he's going to live out his days as a
Vampire.
A vampire, yeah. But anyway,
No, but the way it was shot is you're supposed to think he died.
I didn't.
The implication was that he killed
What's the
him.
point of
okay.
this?
Yeah, yeah.
What are we talking about?
Is that there are two open plot lines for each
Yeah,
brother.
they don't show Stack die, and then that's so they can show him come back for the mid-credit scene that you missed
yeah,
while you were
but the only reason that
I also missed it.
you shouldn't expect that.
So you didn't see Buddy Guy.
I saw Buddy Guy. That's when I left. I was like,
You're
oh.
supposed to think that Stack got killed
Well, what's the point of this?
what
because
is the
then
point?
it's supposed to add weight to the end of Smoke's arc, and the movie itself is Smoke is this surviving. His brother has been a vampire forever that he has to kill, and he's dealt with that. And you are supposed to think he kills him, and then Smoke gets to
it's
complete
a twist
his
that he's
story.
still alive, but I don't think
Yeah,
that's
but
about
I'm
as
saying-
much about Smoke's story. I think
I'm
Smoke's
just
story is
saying
about
that
his wife and his dead daughter, who are both dead now, who
Yeah.
he now gets to go meet them.
Yeah,
Listen, it's all
but-
smoke and
but-
mirrors to me.
That is all under the pretense that he's already killed.
I just don't.
Got
think
it.
that's-
Got it. I missed the ending credits. Guys, tell me what happened.
Abby recorded.
You were in the
Yeah,
bathroom.
I bootlegged it on my phone because I knew Will was going to want to see
Yeah.
it. I probably should have sent
I
it to
saw
you
the
too.
second
Pretty
half.
much, Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld walk in. Michael B. Jordan as the cool one, as Stack, walks in with Haley Steinfeld, clearly vampires in the 90s now,
So
dressed to
fucking
like
dope.
Fresh Prince in his
Oh my
prime,
God,
like
he
with the
looks
so
coolest
cool.
outfit, and walks in and they're watching a blues player who's played by Buddy Guy,
Yeah.
playing a six solo, and that's
Same.
Sammy.
And he looked scared at first too.
Yeah,
So
he is.
they hadn't seen each other.
Of
since.
course, and it's been 70 years or something.
And they've been alive, but the difference is because Remic's character is dead, they're not like tethered to evil. They're just stuck as vampires.
Oh, they're chill vampires?
We don't know.
They had no interest in hurting him.
But he says that he promised his brother he would never hurt Sammy, implying that that's maybe why, and not because he's
And
a
he
good
let
person.
him. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you guys jumped me too fast. I just wanted to say the actual, I think what you were getting at, Brendan, the actual, what felt like the regular ending to this movie was in the water scene.
Yeah.
And it was very cool because there was a lot of mirroring of baptism vibes
Right,
to me.
right,
And like they're trying to end the evil, and that was cool. And then you think Sammy's about to die, and then Smoke is still alive and saves him by stabbing Remick in the back with the stake. I did think it was funny, and this is not fair to overanalyze a movie too much and a bit of my baby coming out, but like the idea of sneaking up on someone in the water is really funny because like water's
Dude,
just so
what
loud.
we do in pools,
You
though.
know,
Also,
but-
when you grab your friend's
yeah,
foot.
but like you're not, they're in this scene where it's like they're standing there. This guy would have had to wade in the water fucking
also,
6
let's be
feet
honest, he
Yeah,
can't.
but also when he
can't
broke the
swim.
1932 Cyclops Dobro resonator on Remick's face, it splintered out very,
Oh, yeah, I mean,
very
the-
unrealistically.
Yeah.
The fact that he literally
was-
But
kills
that was
him,
a cool
literally
way to
steal
kill
kills
him.
him
shards.
with music. But so you
A
think
resonator doesn't break into shards like that,
Yeah,
dude. We
Brendan
all
smashes his
know
resonators
this.
all
We
the
all
time.
seen this. We
so
all know
you
this.
think the Ku Klux Klan massacre was a little bit shoehorned in, and I think that was the completion of this character's arc.
You were the one that used the word shoehorn.
Yeah, but you said it felt.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
you
I
thought it was
thought,
guitar
I thought it
horn.
was
Got it,
great,
got it.
especially because I had a feeling that there was
Yeah.
going to be another ending.
I didn't care for it.
I would like to be smashed with a resonator
Well,
guitar
it was also
editing this.
super satisfying. Like that got the highest.
No, it was
the
my
most
Inglourious
applause.
Basterds moment. I thought it was
That's the
great.
beauty about movies. Some people like things, some people don't.
Change one, change
yeah,
one.
I didn't like it that much. I like the scene, but I felt like it just can't.
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
it was
It had
extending the
nothing
movie
to do
too
with
long.
vampires
It just was
and-
like
and-
yeah.
I would have cut some earlier.
I would have liked it
things.
earlier in the movie. Honestly, I would have liked
It
to
had
build.
be, it
what?
had to be after.
No, I would have liked to actually change the entire movie. And make it
Let me
about
rewrite it.
KKK.
Ryan, can
Wait,
you call
wait,
me
that
up?
would be interesting if
It
they
just-
had done the Buddy Guy scene before.
But I'm
And
saying you
then
didn't
the-
see them the whole time. You didn't see the KKK the entire movie.
No, but hold
Well,
on.
that was their plan. They were waiting till the night.
No, I know that was the plan, but I'm saying build up, like put them in the movie more.
they were supposed to be a
build up
twist.
the
It was
tension.
supposed to be a
so when
twist.
you
The
get
whole-
mowed down, you're like, yeah,
Yeah,
well,
but it was supposed
I
to
guess
be
you
a
don't really need
twist.
to. I guess you don't really need to do that to the,
the whole
KKK.
point.
You already
the
don't
whole
like them.
point of this is that if this vampire massacre
Dude, don't
never
tell me points. I
Hold
just
on,
didn't
no,
like
but
it.
can I
dude.
finish
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
If the vampire massacre never happened and this good-willed evil creature Remick never told them, what would have happened is the juke joint would have been massacred anyway. Every single one of them.
So Remick saved his life and helped kill the KKK.
Exactly.
I didn't
Nice.
get that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Remick's actually the hero.
All right. Okay. Well,
Do you know Ryan Coogler? Fletch fact. Oh, making his first fletch fact of the day. Ryan Coogler. This was actually his first original movie, like an actual original idea, and he wasn't like
You want to
basing
say
it.
that less?
Ryan
less
Coogler's never had an original idea in his
What
life.
an idiot.
Fruitvale Station is based on a true story. Does that mean it's
Dude,
not?
shut up and let me redo this, and then you can interrupt me. God, stop interrupting me when I'm trying to interrupt you. This is his first movie that is based off of a completely original premise, as opposed to adapting from source material.
Yeah.
Creed,
IP.
Fruitvale Station,
Black Panther.
some other Coog classics. All right, let's fucking wrap this up.
All right. So before we get into the final verdicts, we're gonna try to guess not what we thought, but what everybody else thought, and we call this segment Rotten Tomato, where we estimate, we guess, and estimate the Rotten Tomato meter score.
You are about to find out if we really know what we're talking about. Are we frauds or are we connoisseurs? Here come our rotten tomato scores.
Now they cheat or not cheat. They accidentally find out so often that we've also introduced IMDbater, where we guess the IMDb score. So now, Brendan, Abby, I would love to hear your guesstimates, your estimatos. We'll start with the critics.
Start with the critics. Okay, I'm going to say, and this is fresh, so it might change a little bit. Not by the time it comes out, but it's fresh when we're recording. I'm going to say that the critics are at a, I think this probably killed, but I'm going to say 89 critics. What do you say,
I'm
Brendan?
going to say 82.
82. All right, so much lower.
89 critics, Abby. 82 critics, Brendan. So you
Is that
want
the
me
classic move where you say it out loud to buy time?
to 89? Well, no. Do you want me to?
Yeah, now tell us the answer.
It's 98.
Holy shit. You know what? It makes sense that it's 98 because once again,
That blows my mind.
we forgot about the Rotten Tomato dichotomy that is who's going to say this is a less than 50% good movie?
Well,
like that's where I think it's like there had a lot of flaws, but to not be a positive tomato, to be a Rotten Tomato, you have to think it's below. It's a failing.
Yeah, you got to
grade.
put
It's a
it's hard to put things in
crowd-pleasing-
It's a crowd
perspective.
pleaser.
Entertaining movie that actually has themes with some intelligence.
Right, and it's
And-
fun.
But critics don't
And
necessarily
it's-
like crowd pleasers, though.
yeah.
Well,
They actually tend to not
I mean,
like it.
98,
But I think all of
Toy
us-
Story is 98%.
Right, we were also all of us were a little bit critical of it, but none of us would have said it's a Rotten Tomato. I don't think so. I get why it's so high in
Also,
retrospect, but I
like
am
you,
surprised.
Abby, you said it. Like I feel the same way. Like I can't stop thinking. I
Yeah,
want to
sure,
see it
I
again.
do wanna see it
I
again.
want to see it again.
Okay, let's do popcorn meter. So now this is audience.
By the way, 98%, that went up since we saw it.
It was 97?
There are 272 reviews.
Wow. I'm gonna say audience popcorn. This was I'm gonna stay with my original. I'm gonna say an 89.
Well, now I'm just like got to recalibrate here for. Let me see. So 89. I said 82. So let me just do the quick math. I'm gonna say 87.
And I said 89.
It's 97. So 98, 97.
Wow.
Without question, the highest rated movie
We've ever
we've
done.
Shocking.
And that includes like the fucking Exorcist and
Yeah.
shit.
That's shocking.
But I mean, I could see why. I mean, people won't shut up about it. People
It
won't
was
talk
good. It
About,
was good.
about how you have to go see it. It's a cinema.
Are people not
experience.
shutting up about it?
Yeah.
I mean, me. I'm
I
not.
haven't looked at one thing
All right.
online. So.
Now you're allowed
So
to.
so when a movie has a 97% popcorn meter score, Medicare at best gets more difficult than you'd think.
Yeah.
So I only grabbed the first one I saw, and it's all worth the last line. So, half star. Terrible vampire movie. Hollywood should be embarrassed to roll this crap up. Enough vampire movies. There are no real vampires anyway.
Damn. Got him,
wait,
dude.
so-
Did Ryan ever think of that, dude? Coogie,
Like,
did you
why
see
would
that?
you make a vampire movie with no real vampires?
Dude,
that
why did
live-
Hollywood roll this crap
Yeah.
up?
This guy's like Marvel, A+. Love that because they're real. The Avengers are real.
All right. Final scores. I'll go first. 9.4 Michael B. mustaches.
Lovey.
Abby, you go.
I'm going to go with 8.7 little garlic powdery garlics.
I was gonna do garlic.
Damn, garlic powder? That's crazy because you could sprinkle it.
I'd be cooking with so much garlic powder.
I'm almost
If
out.
there
I
was a
need to buy
garlic powder
another one.
police, I would be in jail for life.
You said 8.7.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think I was good, but I think it's like this was not like the greatest movie I've ever seen here.
I'm gonna say 8.6. If like so, listen up.
All I'm
gotta
saying
go to
is
the
you guys
shop.
gave the monkey the same score. Are you trying to see the monkey again? No. You forgot
I would
about
watch
the monkey.
again. It was funny.
It was shit.
Can you let me finish my score and then you
I would
can
love for
interrupt
you to-
us all?
I
Thank
would
you.
like to do that.
8.6, little tiny. If you like, you go to the Circuit City, go get a microscope
Circuit City, very, very good reference already.
and get a slide and look real close down, and that's a little tiny drop of, you guessed it, blood.
Wow. All right, so we got 8.6 tiny
Hemoglobin?
bloods.
All right. 8.6
We need a
little
hemo
tiny
go
Circuit City
be outta here.
microscope sheets of blood.
Yeah. Okay, are we done? Love you
Please.
guys so
Okay,
much.
Thank you guys so much for coming out. We're
Yo, coming up.
We're 2 minutes,
episode
baby.
20.
Big.
Coming
really? It feels like 200.
Yeah, why do we just
All right, bye.
do
We
this?
need to go.
Love you guys. Peace.
Two men and a baby, oh yeah. Two men